Okay, so thanks everyone for coming. So let's welcome Professor Veselin Jungic from Simon Fraser University in Canada and talks about no strangers at this party. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for this opportunity. So the title of my presentation is No Strangers at this party. And a little bit later in my talk, I'll explain what that means. But the question that I would like to address in next 20-25 minutes is, what should an instructor do when they has an opportunity to expose a group of undergraduate students who are not necessarily planning to become professional mathematicians to a set of advanced mathematical ideas? And I faced this question when I was assigned to teach Simon Fraser University's Mathematical Journeys course. The topic of the course changes from one offering to another, with the idea that each journey is designed to appeal particularly to mathematics minor students. So students that are majoring in some other subject and taking a subset of math courses, and others with a broad interest in mathematics. My choice was to talk about Ramsey theory. I'll give you two definitions or descriptions of Ramsey theory. This is probably the best known by Theodore Motzkin, that complete disorder is impossible. And this is really the heart of the philosophy of Ramsey theory. If you give me enough of something, then I'll find what I'm looking for. And the problem is to find what is enough. Another well-known definition is by Bruce Landman and Aaron Robertson, that Ramsey theory is the study of the preservation of properties under set partitions. Typically, Ramsey theory is considered as a part of combinatorics, but that is kind of a simplified way to think about this particular field. So my reasons for taking Ramsey theory, wish to introduce Ramsey theory to this class, were the following. Some of the fundamental Ramsey theory results are self-contained. So you really don't need much to be able to understand what's going on. But you need that certain level of math maturity really to be able to put these ideas together. Educational, Ramsey theory is a great story about its beginning, development, about people involved. It's just a great story that I wanted to share with my students. And finally, it was personal. I had a privilege to witness how Ramsey theory served as a portal into the world of mathematics research for some extraordinary, talented, and very, very young people. And my hope was that with this course, I would illuminate this portal, Ramsey theory, to at least some of my students. The major challenge in teaching this course is the diversity of my students' academic background. So the course is really set up for minors, for students that are minoring in mathematics. For example, in my fall 2020 course, I had 62 students that came from 17 different academic programs. And those programs ranged from First Nation studies to education to computing science to mathematics. So how do you put such a diverse group of people together? But at the same time, this diversity really opened quite unique opportunities. One was, there was opportunity to introduce basic of an active mathematical research field to a student who was well on their way to becoming a professional chemist or business person. My wish was also to further encourage students' obvious interest in mathematics. So those are not going to be professional mathematicians in the future, but those are going to be our allies forever. So that was another of my goals with this course. Then something also that I think misses when we teach math courses is to underline the fact that mathematics is an ever-growing body of human knowledge. And since Ramsey theory is a really an active research field, it was a good opportunity for me to pass that information to my students. And somehow selfishly, I wanted to utilize a wide range of academic and personal skills, interests, and talents that such a diverse group of students brought to the class. So this was a typical 13 weeks course with 3 lecture hours per week, supported by tutorial. I taught this course several times, face-to-face, online during the pandemic, and hybrid after the pandemic. The assessment, I had weekly online quizzes. I had bi-weekly written assignments and a final examination. But the part of the course that I want to talk today was this, 10 projects, and it was 35% of students' mark. My guide in managing and creating this segment of the course was this notion of learning in depth, put forward by my friend and colleague, late Professor Kieran Egan. He was educational philosopher. And his idea, this idea of learning in depth, was that we should try whatever we can to make sure that our students, after a course or a program, know something, that they are expert in something. They own a piece of that knowledge. So the main purpose of projects that I ran in this class was to give to each student really an opportunity to understand a subset of topics in a more substantial way. I wanted my students to own a piece. It doesn't matter how big or small piece of that content as their own. I evaluated each project based on 3 criteria: Ramsey theory, this was a Ramsey theory course, originality, and complexity. And my general approach was to give my students as much creative freedom as they wanted. These are some ideas to create a video, to create an applet, to create a computer game based on a theorem discussed in the class, create a proof without words, create a podcast, become a true expert in a segment of the course. I had several students that would take one of these big theorems and study it in a way that they really could understand quite complex proofs. Enhance the course lecture notes by adding new resources, exercises, create a play or dance, create a graphic novel, create a Wikipedia page for a person involved in Ramsey theory, write an article, create a song or a music piece, create a painting, or something else. As you could probably imagine, this requires quite a bit of work. So I set up 3 checkpoints. I met with each group at the beginning of the class, 3rd week of classes, and we discussed potential ideas, the timeline, the role of each member, and so on. Then a month later, each team gave a 3-minute presentation to the class and submitted a written report. And I read all of those reports and wrote a feedback to each group. Then, to make sure that everything is going on time, I met with each group during the 10th week. And then during the last week of classes, each group presented to their peers their project. Based on my feedback and peers' feedback, they wrote the final report that was submitted at the end, at the beginning of the examination period. So lots of work, lots of work. But let me give you a few examples about what students did. Probably the most significant was the podcast project. And my students created a podcast with 14 episodes. They met some of the most notable Ramsey theorists of our time and had a conversation about their first experiences with mathematics, their times as undergraduate and graduate students, their views about Ramsey theory and mathematics in general, and about their research interests. So now it's time for me to try to explain why the title of this talk and why the title of this podcast, No Strangers at this Party. So this is based on a special case of Ramsey theorem. And that special case goes like this. If there are at least 6 people at the dinner, then either there are at least 3 mutual friends, 3 people that mutually know each other, or at least 3 people that do not know each other. And this fact was written as Ramsey number 3, 3 equals 6. And I want to show you how to prove this fact. So at any dinner party, 6 people, you have at least 3 that know each other, or at least 3 that do not know each other. So the idea is this. You represent each person by a vertex of a graph. Then you put an edge between all vertices. So you create this complete graph on 6 vertices. And then you use 2 colors. Blue, for these 2 people know each other. Red, for these 2 people do not know each other. We say this is a 2 coloring of this complete, edge coloring of this complete graph. And then you fix one vertex, and you look at these 5 edges. Because you have 5 edges and 2 colors, there are at least 3 edges that are colored by the same color. Let us say blue. And then you look at these 3 vertices that are adjacent to this fixed vertex by blue edges. And what can happen? You can have that one of those edges is blue, then you have your blue triangle. If all of these edges are red, you have a red triangle. So this is a proof of a special case of Ramsey theorem about friends and strangers. So that is the reason for the title, No Strangers at this Party. If you get a chance, go on Spotify and look for the Ramsey Theory podcast. There are 14 episodes. Here are 3 mathematicians. Dr. Fen Chang is in combinatorics, a legendary mathematician. Adriana Hebrang is a well-known Mexican mathematician, and I would be surprised if at least some of you don't know Dr. Brina Krah. She was the president of the American Mathematical Society a couple of years ago. Students had a great experience with creating the podcast. Here is a quote. It was such a wonderful experience talking with mathematicians. Without fail, they were easy to talk to and connect with during the conversation. However, the mathematicians would often take reins and so on and so on. It was such an experience for students, really a unique experience to meet these active professional mathematicians. But now I would like to show you another of my favorite projects. It's a visual proof that the Ramsey number R44 is 18. So this is the question, how many people you need at the party that you are sure that you have at least 4 that mutually know each other, or at least 4 that mutually do not know each other. And to my surprise, Max and Swan, who created this visual proof, they researched the previous projects, and they found a piece of music composed by another former students in this class called Ramsey Nocturne. I hope that you are going to hear the background. So this is a proof with no words. Oh. Can you hear the background? And now you know that at any party with at least 18 people, there are 4 people that know each other or 4 people that mutually do not know each other. But I want to share with you feedback that I got from Max and Sloan. And they explained that they were inspired by these 3 blue, 1 browns videos in linear algebra. I didn't know about that before, but also that they are part of this Python library called Money for creating mathematical animation. So this is the knowledge that I didn't have before. But then they did what I was hoping for. They solidified their understanding of the core of Ramsey theory, the pigeonhole principle. So this was really my wish when I was starting with these projects. I want to share with you a couple more. This is a graphic novel based on a well-known for Ramsey theory community essay, How to Prove of Baudin Conjecture was found. And this graphic novel that for me it's professionally done was created by a group of math majors and computing science majors. And that is maybe, if I want to pass something to you, is be aware that there is so much talent in that group of students that you are talking to in your classes. These 2 students, Dina and Michaela, they ran a guest speaker series during one of my offerings, and they did everything. I suggested a few names, they contacted speakers, they scheduled speakers, they organized, they passed abstracts to the class, they introduced the speakers, everything. And again, that was an experience for them to carry on. I had a couple of students from Punjab. I asked them to create a Ramsey version of Ramsey theorem in Punjabi, and they did. And what you are looking at, it's a pigeonhole principle in Punjabi. No, they claim that they couldn't find on the web another Ramsey theorem, Ramsey theory resource in Punjabi. So maybe we made a history with this project. This is a paper that one of my students published in U of T Magazine. That is a University of Toronto journal for students, undergraduate students of mathematics. He was able to find a new van der Waals number. So I challenged the student to check known van der Waals numbers. And he did that. And this string, I don't know if you can see this W21 and bunch of 2s and a couple of 3s at the end. It's 52. Nobody knew before the student attempted to do this. Another paper that was just published was by student Rank Kohel. So he published his essay in Journal of Humanistic Mathematics just in January 2025. This is a poem inspired by Ramsey theorem. But if you want to glance through this, it is like a teacher's dream. There has been a care put into each paragraph so that its lines can be viewed as though they were nodes on a graph with shared traits, and so on and so on. So, but not everything goes well. You know, when I tried to access a web page that my students created for one of the projects, the website was down. I contacted students and they said that the software that was running in the background was so special that they were asked to pay a fee to keep that website on, and they couldn't pay the fee and the website is gone. But let me finish on the positive note. So this is from one of my former students. He was what we call concurrent study student. That means he was a high school student who was approved to take undergraduate classes. He got to university and his wish is to study Ramsey theory. So maybe I was able to open that portal of Ramsey theory research to one of my students. So thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions or comment, I would be happy to try to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a really nice talk.